Welcome to Dreamy Vibes. Tonight, we travel back to the spring of 1908, to a quiet village on the southern coast of England, where the sea leaned against the cliffs, where rain whispered against old windows, and where a single letter delivered to the wrong person was about to cross an ocean and change two lives. Settle into a comfortable position. Let the day grow quiet around you. And when you are ready, let us begin. The letter that was never meant for Eleanor. The village of Bellwether had one main street, two churches, 3 respectable tea rooms, and a bakery that had been promising to improve its scones since 1896. At the bottom of the hill stood Ashford and granddaughter, booksellers and repairers. The sign had once read Ashford and Son. When Eleanor and Ashford inherited her father's place at the work table, her grandfather painted over the final word himself. The lettering leaned slightly downhill. So did most things in Bellwether. Eleanor was 27, patient with books, suspicious of umbrellas, and entirely unable to pass a window without checking whether a storm was coming. On the morning our story begins, rain silvered the harbor and tapped politely at the bookshop glass. Eleanor sat beneath a green shaded lamp, repairing a tired volume of poetry. Beside her, Barnaby the cat slept across a dictionary as though personally responsible for preventing the English language from escaping. The shop bell rang. Mr. Percival Finch entered in a coat the color of weak tea. He was the tired postmaster of Bellwether. Retirement had relieved him of his official duties, but not, unfortunately, of his interest in everyone else's correspondence. "Letter for you," he said. Eleanor held out her hand. Mr. Finch did not give it to her. Instead, he examined the envelope. "Foreign stamp," he observed. "I can see that. Lisbon. I can read that too. Handsome writing. Can handwriting be handsome? Certainly. Mine was considered dashing in 1864. At last, he surrendered the envelope. It was addressed to Captain Edward Wilkinson, care of Ashford's bookshop, Bellwether. Eleanor turned it over. "This is not for me." "A perceptive beginning," said Mr. Finch. "There's never been a Captain Wilkinson at this address." Then the mystery deepens. Or someone wrote the address incorrectly. Mr. Finch looked disappointed by his practical suggestion. The return name read Samuel Hawthorne, Merchant Vessel Providence, Lisbon Harbor. Eleanor placed the letter on the counter, intending to send it back, unopened. Barnaby woke up, stretched, and stepped directly onto the envelope. His paw was damp from the windowsill. He left a perfect grey print over the word Captain. Mr. Finch nodded gravely. "The matter has now received the cat's approval. The cat has also approved 3 invoices and a haddock. Still, one respects procedure." Eleanor found a clean sheet of paper. She meant to write only a brief correction, but the rain continued. The shop remained empty, and the name Samuel Hawthorne seemed oddly companionable in the quiet room. She dipped her pen into the ink. "Dear Mr. Hawthorne, I regret to inform you that Captain Edward Wilkinson does not live at this address. Nor, as far as anyone in Bellwether can remember, has he ever done so. I am also not in possession of the 27 barrels of tea mentioned on the outside of your envelope. I do, however, possess one elderly grandfather, one opinionated cat, and approximately 4,000 books, none of which are seaworthy. Your letter remains unopened. If you provide a better address, I shall forward it. Yours faithfully, Eleanor Ashford. She paused, then added, P.S. The paw print is not part of the official postmark. Mr. Finch read the address she wrote on the new envelope. You have replied. I have corrected an error with a postscript. The postscript explains the cat. Of course. Mr. Finch tucked the letter into his bag. I am merely delivering the mail, he said. He wore the expression of a man who had just placed the first piece on a chessboard. 3 weeks later, the Providence rolled gently beneath a pale Portuguese moon. Samuel Hawthorne sat at the small desk in his cabin. He was 31, broad-shouldered, quietly observant, and more comfortable with a compass than a conversation. The sea made sense to him. It could be dangerous, certainly, but it did not pretend otherwise. On the desk lay Eleanor's letter. He had read it 4 times. The first reading confirmed his mistake. The second introduced him to Barnaby. The third made him laugh. The fourth had no professional justification at all. His friend Thomas Bell, the ship's wireless operator, leaned through the doorway. Still studying the cat? It's a postal matter, naturally. Wilkinson gave me the address himself. Wilkinson also once tried to dry his socks in the engine room. He said the bookshop accepted correspondence for him. Perhaps he owes them money. Samuel looked again at Eleanor's neat, slanting script. She could have returned it without writing. Thomas considered this. Perhaps Bellwether has no entertainment. It has 2 churches. Then I stand corrected. Samuel took up his pen. Dear Miss Ashford, thank you for rescuing my letter from what appears to have been a thoroughly imaginary Captain Wilkinson. I have since learned that the captain visited your shop 6 years ago and decided this constituted a permanent postal arrangement. He also described your village as being just beyond Portsmouth, which is true only if one has a generous understanding of the word just. You may destroy the original letter. It concerns tea insurance and Captain Wilkinson's belief that arithmetic is a form of personal persecution. I am disappointed about the missing barrows, but your cat sounds considerably more interesting. The Providence sails for Tangier tomorrow. If Barnaby wishes to send further official markings, I shall receive them with respect. Yours sincerely, Samuel Hawthorne. He hesitated, then added, P.S. Are the scones in Bellwether truly as bad as Wilkinson claims? Thomas, still hovering at the door, smiled. A professional inquiry, huh? Entirely. About scones? Navigation requires reliable local information. Samuel sealed the envelope. Outside, the shop's cook shouted that breakfast was ready. A moment later, a girl swooped through the open portal, seized Samuel's toast, and vanished. Thomas watched it go. You navigate across continents, he said, yet a bird defeated you before sunrise. Samuel closed the portal. The bird had the advantage of surprise. The reply arrived on a Thursday. Mr. Finch delivered it at 9 minutes past 10. Although the post normally came at 11, he claimed there had been a favorable wind. Eleanor did not ask how wind had accelerated a man walking uphill. She waited until he left. Then she carried the letter to the work table. Barnaby immediately sat on it. "You are confusing involvement with importance," she told him. He purred. Eleanor read Samuel's letter twice. The line about arithmetic made her smile. The question about bellwether scones made her reach for her paper. "Dear Mr. Hawthorne, Captain Wilkinson has spoken unfairly of Bellwether. We are not just beyond Portsmouth, we are inconveniently beyond Portsmouth. As for the scones, they are improving. This has been officially announced every spring for 12 years. Yesterday, one was dropped outside the bakery. It damaged the pavement. Grandfather says this proves the baker is generous with flour. I say it proves the council should issue helmets. You asked about Barnaby. He arrived during a storm and refused to leave. Grandfather insists he was seeking shelter. I believe he was conducting an inspection and found our standards barely acceptable. You mentioned Tangier. I have never traveled further than Bath. Do the streets truly smell of oranges and spices? Does the sea look different beneath another sky? You may regard these as questions from someone who has spent too long among books. Yours sincerely, Eleanor Ashford." Samuel answered from Tangier. He wrote of white walls bright beneath the sun, of market awnings rippling in the warm wind, of mint tea poured from silver pots, of oranges stacked like little lanterns, and of a harbor where every rope, sail, bell, and human voice seemed to belong to one great song. "The sea does look different here," he wrote. "Near Bellwether, I imagine it is grey silk, but here it is blue glass. But at night, when the lamps are extinguished, all seas become the same dark road beneath the stars." Eleanor wrote those words beside the bookshop window. For a moment, the rain beyond the glass did not seem like weather. It seemed like part of that road. After that, the letters continued. Not every week. Ships did not move according to impatience, nor did the post. But whenever the Providence reached the harbor, Samuel wrote. And whenever a letter arrived, Eleanor replied. He described Lisbon after rain. The tiled streets shone beneath the lamps. Yellow trams climbed impossible hills. In a cafe near the harbor, an elderly pianist played so slowly that Samuel suspected each note required written permission. Eleanor told him about the bookshop, about her grandfather who could remember the location of every book, but never his spectacles. They were usually on his head. About Mrs. Dallow from next door, who borrowed novels and returned them with crumbs between the pages. And about Barnaby, who had begun sleeping in the empty mailbag whenever Mr. Finch visited. Mr. Finch added a small note to the corner of one envelope. Mr. Hawthorne, if you continue writing letters this long, I shall require a stronger shoulder. P. Finch. Samuel replied on a separate card. Mr. Finch, I enclose 1 penny toward the reinforcement of the mailbag. S. Hawthorne. Mr. Finch kept the penny in a small wooden box labeled International Operations. By midsummer, the Providence was bound for Alexandria. The voyage carried Samuel through days of dazzling light and nights when the moon drew a silver path across the water. He had begun looking for things Eleanor might enjoy. A blue feather found near the quay, a sketch of a lighthouse, a tram ticket from Lisbon, a thin square of paper that still smelled faintly of cedar. He placed each treasure between the pages of his navigation journal until he could send it. Eleanor, meanwhile, found herself listening for the shop bell. She told herself she was expecting customers. Mr. Finch did not challenge this. He had become almost unbearable in his discretion. One afternoon, Eleanor walked above the cliffs. Lavender grew beside the path, trembling in the wind. She picked one small stone and pressed it inside the book. For 3 days, she debated whether sending it would seem foolish. On the 4th, Barnaby knocked the book from the table. The lavender fell directly onto Samuel's unfinished letter. Eleanor looked at the cat. "You're becoming very intrusive." Barnaby washed a paw. She enclosed the lavender. "Dear Samuel, I hope you'll forgive the absence of formality. After 6 letters, 2 postcards, and an international dispute concerning a mailbag, Mr. Hawthorne has begun to feel unnecessarily ceremonial. The lavender grew on the cliffs above Bellwether. It's not rare. It is not valuable, and Barnaby has sat on it once. Still, I thought you might like something from the place you have heard so much about. Today, the sea is bright, and the fishing boats look like toys from the hill. Sometimes, when I read your descriptions, I imagine the Providence beyond the horizon. I wonder whether you look back toward England." Eleanor. Samuel received the letter in Alexandria. He opened it beneath the canvas awning while the afternoon heat shimmered over the harbor. The lavender had faded to a soft purple. It carried almost no scent. Yet, when he held it, he pictured wet cliffs, grey water, a green-shaded lamp, and a woman he had never seen. Thomas found him smiling at a dried plant. "Medical trouble?" he asked. "Lavender. So it has a name." Samuel ignored him. That evening, he wrote, "Dear Eleanor, I look toward England tonight. The captain informed me that England was in precisely the opposite direction. This was discouraging, but not decisive. I kept looking. Your lavender now lives inside my navigation journal. This may be the first time a navigator has relied upon a flower. Considering some of the captain's charts, it may not be the worst method attempted aboard this ship. We leave for Bombay in 2 days. The voyage will be long. Do not mistake silence for forgetting. At sea, a letter may be written in an hour and take 2 months to find its way home. But it will find its way. Samuel." Eleanor folded the letter carefully. She did not notice that she was smiling until her grandfather looked over his spectacles. "Good news? A ship is leaving Alexandria. Ships often do. This one is going to Bombay." Her grandfather nodded, as though this explained everything. Then he returned to his book. Samuel's next letter began in the Red Sea and ended in India. He wrote it across 11 evenings. Sometimes the handwriting was steady. Sometimes it climbed the pages as the Providence rose on a wave. "Dear Eleanor, tonight the air is warm enough that even the captain has stopped complaining. This has alarmed the crew. We suspect fever. The stars here seem lower. I know this cannot be true. Still, a person feels he might reach up and gather one. The cook has attempted a pudding. It moves independently when the table tilts. Thomas believes it is learning to navigate. I have advised him not to encourage it. 2 nights later, we passed through water smooth as polished stone. Flying fish lifted from the bowl like handfuls of silver. For several seconds, they traveled beside us. They vanished into the dark. I wish you could have seen them. I find I often wish that now. 4 evenings later, a storm followed us this afternoon. Nothing fierce, only rain, warm and sudden, washing the deck clean. I stood beneath it, and I thought of Bellwether. Thomas pointed out that I could think of England indoors. Thomas has no poetry in him. He says this because poetry is not ununionized. And finally, from Bombay, the city is color and motion. Carriages, bells, voices, bright cloth, sea wind, smoke, and sunlight. This morning, I followed a narrow street and found a bookseller whose shop was no wider than my cabin. He owned a copy of the same poetry volume you were repairing when my first letter arrived. I know this because you once described the blue cover and the missing corner. I bought it. It was an extravagant purchase. It cost less than lunch. The greater danger is that I may now begin collecting books. Please accept responsibility. Samuel. Eleanor read the letter aloud to her grandfather. She omitted only one sentence. I wished you could have seen them. That sentence she kept for herself. Her reply filled 8 pages. She told Samuel how Bellwether celebrated the August fair. Children raced wooden boats in the stream. A brass band played 3 songs, 2 of them at the same time. Mr. Finch judged the vegetable competition despite having no qualifications beyond strong opinions about turnips. Eleanor entered the lemon cake. It came second. The winning cake belonged to Mrs. Dallow, who had been practicing since February and speaking of little else. I do not resent her victory, Eleanor wrote. I merely note that the judge borrowed her wheelbarrow last winter. Mr. Finch, reading over her shoulder, objected. That is a serious allegation. Then stop reading private correspondence. I'm checking the postage. From the middle of the page? International letters are complex. Eleanor sealed the envelope before he could inspect further. Autumn found the Providence in the Indian Ocean. For 3 days, the sky lowered and the wind rose. The sea became a field of dark hills. The ship climbed each one, paused, then descended into white spray. Samuel worked beside the captain, checking bearings and studying the restless compass. There was no panic, only the steady seriousness of people doing familiar work in difficult weather. At midnight, Samuel returned to his cabin. Water rattled against the porthole. His chair slid 3 inches across the floor and came back again. He tied it to the desk. Then he took out paper. Dear Eleanor, the sea is in a dramatic mood tonight. The captain calls it energetic. The crew have chosen less charitable language. There is no danger. I write that first because I know you will read every line after it, wondering whether there was danger. There is only noise, rain, and the inconvenience of discovering that every object I own wishes to cross the cabin at once. Your lavender remains safe. It is tucked inside the chart case. I have been thinking about the first letter. Had Captain Wilkinson remembered the correct address? Had Mr. Finch returned it unopened? Had Barnaby not marked the envelope with his paw? I would not know that Bellwether has dangerous scones. I would not know that you repair books beneath a green lamp. I would not know the sound of your humor, though I have never heard your voice. And I would not be sitting in a storm feeling less alone because somewhere beyond it, you exist. The ship lurched. Samuel caught the ink bottle just before it fell. A dark drop landed at the bottom of the page. He watched it spread. Then he wrote, "That mark was the Indian Ocean attempting to contribute. Its handwriting is worse than mine." He did not write the words that had risen in him. Not yet. Instead, he finished, "Sleep peacefully. By the time this reaches you, the storm will be an old story. Samuel." The storm passed before dawn. Sunlight broke through the clouds and scattered across the waves. Samuel climbed to the deck. The air smelled washed and new. Behind the ship, the dark weather faded into the horizon. Ahead, the sea opened bright and calm. A winter without replies. Samuel's storm letter reached Bellwether in November. Eleanor read the first line quickly. "There is no danger." Then she slowed down. At the sentence about feeling less alone, she stopped. The shop seemed suddenly very quiet. Barnaby slept near the stove. Rain moved softly over the windows. Her grandfather turned the page in the back room. Everything was ordinary, and yet nothing felt quite the same. She began her reply that evening. "Dear Samuel, I'm glad the storm is now an old story. I confess I ignored your sensible opening and worried through the entire letter. This is one of the many ways in which I am unreasonable. Others include distrusting pears and refusing to believe that anyone enjoys cold baths. You wrote that my existence made you feel less alone. I have carried those words with me all day. Your letters have done the same for me. Before them, the world beyond Bellwether was something I visited through books. Now, Lisbon has rainy pavements. Tangier has oranges. Bombay has a narrow bookshop, and the sea has you upon it." She paused. The final sentence felt dangerously honest, so she left it. The letter went east. Then winter settled over Bellwether. December passed. No reply came. January brought frost to the harbor. Still, nothing. Mr. Finch visited the shop every morning. He discussed the weather, postage rates, and the disgraceful decline of sealing wax. He did not say Samuel's name. In February, a newspaper reported that the Providence had been delayed near Fremantle after damage to her mast. There were no injuries. The ship was safe, but letters, cargo, and schedules had been scattered across half a continent. Eleanor read the short notice until the words blurred. Safe. Delayed. No injuries. She repeated them quietly. Mr. Finch stood beside her. "Ships return," he said. "Usually. Letters too. Usually." Barnaby jumped onto the counter and placed one paw on Eleanor's hand. For once, nobody made jokes about it. Weeks passed. Eleanor continued to write. She did not know where the letters would find Samuel. Still, she wrote. She described the first snow, the harbor covered by white mist, her grandfather's attempt to make soup, Mr. Finch's sudden campaign against envelopes that were too modern. She wrote because silence felt larger than when she did not, and every letter ended the same way. Wherever you are, this is on its way. The Lighthouse Letter In March, Mr. Finch entered the shop without removing his hat. He held an envelope in both hands. It was worn at the corners and marked by 5 post offices: Australia, Colombo, Aden, Malta, London. Across the front, in Samuel's familiar handwriting, were the words, "For Eleanor Ashford," wherever the postal service believes Bellwether to be. Mr. Finch placed it on the counter. "Favorable wind?" Eleanor asked. "Hurricane," he said. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. "Dear Eleanor, I have received 7 of your letters, not in order. The one describing Christmas arrived before the one describing snow, which arrived before the one describing November. For 3 confusing days, I believed Bellwether had abandoned the calendar. The Providence is safe. Her mast was damaged, and we remained in Fremantle for repairs. My own letters were sent aboard another vessel, which appears to have treated the postal system as a sightseeing opportunity. I am sorry for the silence. I imagined you waiting. That thought troubled me more than the storm. There is something I should have written before. Perhaps I was waiting for better words. The sea teaches patience, but it also teaches that some distances should not be allowed to grow. Eleanor, I love you. I love the woman who repairs torn pages, who distrusts pears, who sends lavender across oceans, who can turn bird scones into a matter of public safety. I love a voice I have never heard and a face I have never seen. If this seems impossible, I can only say that navigation is full of impossible things that prove with time to be true. The Providence will return to England in May. If you wish it, I would like to come to Bellwether. Samuel. Eleanor read the letter once, then again. She sat down because her knees had become unreliable. Mr. Finch examined a shelf with exaggerated interest. Her grandfather came from the black room. Bad news? Eleanor laughed. It came out half like a sob. No. She pressed the letter to her heart. Very good news. That evening, she walked to the lighthouse above the bay. The lamp turned slowly through the dark. Each beam traveled over the water, disappeared and returned. Eleanor sat on the stone wall and wrote by the light of a small lantern. Dear Samuel, your letter has arrived. So have you, in a way. You ask whether I wish you to come to Bellwether. Yes. That is the simple answer. The longer answer is that I have tried to write something graceful and have failed repeatedly. Barnaby has walked across 2 attempts. Mr. Finch has offered advice nobody requested. Grandfather has polished the same pair of spectacles for 20 minutes. So I shall be brave and plain. I love you too. Come home, Eleanor. At the bottom, beside Eleanor's signature, was a grey paw print. Below it, Mr. Finch had added, Mr. Hawthorne, the mailbag has been reinforced. Do not delay. May arrived dressed in blue skies and salt wind. Every morning, Eleanor climbed the cliffs and searched the horizon. Every evening, she told herself she had not been searching. Bellwether knew otherwise. Mrs. Dallow began baking cakes for no stated reason. The baker produced a new batch of scones and placed a sign in the window. Guaranteed less dangerous. Mr. Finch oiled the wheels of his mail cart, although no cart would be required. Eleanor's grandfather cleaned the shop sign. Barnaby refused to prepare at all. Then, on the 17th day of May, the harbor bell rang twice. A steamer had been sighted. Eleanor stood on the cliff path with the wind pulling at her coat. Far beyond the harbor wall, a dark shape moved over the glittering water. The Providence. It came slowly, not like a ship in a grand adventure, not with music or flags. It simply grew larger against the horizon. Smoke rose from its funnel. Sunlight flashed along its rail, and somewhere aboard was Samuel. Eleanor's courage, so dependable in letters, abandoned her completely. What if they had mistaken words for knowledge? What if affection could cross an ocean, but not the small distance between two people standing in the same room? What if he disliked her voice? What if she disliked his hat? This last concern was absurd, but strangely persistent. Mr. Finch appeared beside her. You have received 43 letters from the man. 44. Then you can survive one conversation. Letters allow one to remove foolish sentences. Conversation allows one to blame them on the weather. Eleanor looked at him. Were you always this helpful? No, I have improved with age. Down in the harbor, ropes were thrown. The gangway lowered. Passengers came ashore, a family with 3 sleepy children, 2 businessmen arguing about luggage, a woman carrying a bright red parasol, sailors, dock workers, and then a tall man in a dark coat stepped onto the quay. He carried a small case. In his hand was a sprig of dried lavender. Samuel looked toward the crowd. Eleanor had never sent a photograph. Neither had he. For one strange suspended moment, there were 2 strangers surrounded by strangers. Then Barnaby solved the matter. The cat had escaped the bookshop, crossed the harbor road, and leapt onto a stack of rope. He gave one loud, impatient cry. Samuel turned. He saw the grey paw. He looked beyond the cat and found Eleanor. Samuel walked toward her. Eleanor remained still. The harbor seemed to soften around them. The girls, the bells, the footsteps, and the voices moved further away. At last, Samuel stopped a few feet in front of her. For all the words they had written, neither knew which one should come first. Samuel glanced at Barnaby. I recognize your work. Eleanor laughed. It was the first sound of her voice he heard. And immediately the world became easier. He insists on signing everything. A strong professional instinct. You must be Samuel. I had hoped so. It would be extremely awkward otherwise. She looked at his hat. It was perfectly ordinary. Relief surprised another laugh from her. What is it? Nothing? That sounds serious. I was worried about your hat. Samuel removed it and examined it. It has never been the subject of international concern before. It is quite acceptable. High praise. The nervousness between them did not vanish all at once. It loosened gently, like a knot worked free with patient hands. Samuel offered her the lavender. It survived. The stem was faded and fragile. Eleanor touched it carefully. So did we. They walked uphill to the bookshop. Mr. Finch followed at a distance. He considered discreet, and everyone else considered approximately 6 feet. Eleanor's grandfather waited at the door. Samuel shook his hand. Barnaby inspected Samuel's case, coat, boots, and general character. After several minutes, he sat on Samuel's foot. "You have been approved," Eleanor said. "Is there a certificate?" "No, only the inability to move." Inside, the green lamp glowed over the work table. The stove gave off a gentle warmth. Books filled every wall. Samuel stood in the room he had imagined across thousands of miles. It was smaller than he expected, and more wonderful. Eleanor made tea. The baker sent a plate of newly improved scones. Everyone stared at them. Samuel lifted one. "Should I sign anything first?" Mr. Finch produced a pencil. "I have prepared a waiver." The scones, in truth, were not terrible. They were also not good, but Samuel ate too. This was remembered in Bellwether as an act of devotion. That afternoon, he and Helena walked above the cliffs. The sea spread below them, blue, gray, beneath the sun. For the first time, they spoke without paper between them. There were pauses, there were interruptions. There were sentences that wandered away before reaching their destination. It was less graceful than writing. It was also better. Samuel told her that he had accepted a position with a coastal charting office in Portsmouth. There would still be journeys, but shorter ones. Journeys measured in weeks, not seasons. "Did you leave the Providence for me?" Eleanor asked. "Not entirely." "What was the other reason?" The cook's pudding became too intelligent. She smiled. "I'm serious. So am I." Then he grew quiet. "I have spent years learning how to find distant places." He looked at her. "I think I would like to learn how to stay." They stopped near the place where the lavender grew. Wind moved softly through the grass. Far below, waves folded against the rocks. Samuel reached for Eleanor's hand. She placed hers in his. There was no orchestra, no crowd, no grand declaration, only the warmth of another hand and the calm certainty that the long distance between them had ended. One year later, the wedding took place on a bright morning in June. Bellwether attended in full. Mrs. Dallow made the cake. The baker made the scones. Mr. Finch carried the rings and reminded everyone that he was merely assisting with delivery. Barnaby slept through most of the ceremony. Ashford and granddaughter gained a new sign above the door. Ashford, Hawthorne, and grandfather. Booksellers, repairers, and occasional navigators. The lettering still leaned downhill. Samuel kept the dried lavender in a small frame above the work table. Eleanor kept every letter in a blue wooden box. They did not stop writing after they married. Whenever Samuel traveled, even for only a few days, a letter would arrive. Sometimes it described the sea. Sometimes it contained a tram ticket, a feather, or a pressed flower. And sometimes it said only, "Dear Eleanor, the hotel breakfast has been taken by a girl. I am beginning to suspect conspiracy. I shall be home on Thursday. All my love, Samuel." Mr. Finch lived to the remarkable age of 89. He maintained until the end that he had never interfered. He had simply delivered the mail. And perhaps he was right, for a letter must still be written. It must still be sent. It must travel through rain and darkness, across roads, across harbors, across the wide and patient sea. But now and then, if fortune is kind, a letter delivered to the wrong place finds exactly the right person. And there, beneath the soft light of the bookshop, with Barnaby sleeping near the stove and the sea breathing beyond the harbor, we leave Eleanor and Samuel. Their long journey has ended, and their life together has only just begun. Thank you for spending this quiet time with Dreamy Vibes. May your thoughts become gentle, your breathing become slow, and may you drift peacefully into a deep, restful sleep. Good night. Letters across the sea.
First time I ever saw you, I fell in love when you entered the room. And when the light hit your face, we were just kids, but I knew right away that I will be with you until I stop breathing. I will keep loving you as long as my heart's beating.